Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm Lisa Kerr. I'm your worship associate for today. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful, slightly steamy Sunday, August morning. We're so glad that you are here at the First Unitarian Church of Providence, where we love beyond belief. And whether you are here in person or you are joining us online, we are grateful to spend this time together. That was so beautiful. Hello again. As many of you know, during the summer services, while our ministers are away, the worship committee hosts a series of services which are led by church members or friends, with music also provided by church members and friends. And thank you to our musicians for today, Claire and Allison, for sharing your gifts with us. And thank you, Jeff Kerr, for joining us as a reader today. Also, thank you to everybody who is working so hard in the sweltering heat to make this service happen. This morning, we are pleased to welcome Reverend Jeanette Bessinger, or Rev J, as she is known to many, as our guest. Rev J is an ordained interfaith minister and board-certified health coach with over 25 years of experience supporting people through challenging changes in their lives. As a spiritual tender and teacher, she leans into counter-oppressive practices of sacred embodiment and building mind, body, spirit resilience in ourselves and our communities. Most recently, Rev J has been teaching pastoral care to clergy students at Starr King School for the Ministry and cultural responsivity to medical students at Brown University. She is a mother of 2 amazing grown humans and soon to be a grandmother of yet another, I'm sure, amazing human. She lives, plays, serves, and cooks in Newport, Rhode Island with her patient spouse and her 2 beloved cat siblings, Peach and Fig. So please join me in welcoming Rev J as she leads us in our time of greeting.
Thank you. This was a lot. Good morning. It's so wonderful to be here with you today. This is actually my first time preaching at First U, which is very fun. And I thought we would just take one quick moment to do a check-in. It's very simple, using your hands. Just how energetic are you? Like way up here is like, woo, ready to go, 3 coffees. And down here is like, I'd rather be home in bed. So let's just see with the hands, how are we feeling today? Oh, pretty good. All right, that's wonderful. So from the space of where we are all living and breathing and beginning this service, we're going to start right away with today's theme of creative bridging. And I'll invite you to come together in your greeting, but with a little bit of a twist. Say hello to one another without words. So if you're comfortable, if you know someone, you could use touch, you can use gesture, you can use your expression. Let's have a few moments greeting each other. So good. So good.
In that spirit, before we light our chalice, could we all turn and wave hello to all of those who are attending our service virtually? Thank you. Wonderful. Please join me in reciting the words of our chalice lighting, which can be found in the order of service. This light burns also in our hearts, and it lights our path toward harmony and justice and hope for all. And now we'll recite the words of our church covenant. Everyone, member or guest, is welcome to join us, but no one is required or expected to do so. You can also find those words to our covenant in the order of service. We, the members of the First Unitarian Church of Providence, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the light we know by many names, and with gratitude for our deep connection to each other and to the larger web of existence, covenant to walk together in our search for truth, seeking the paths of wisdom, compassion, and justice. Our first hymn today is hymn number 1008 in your teal hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. And we invite you to rise in body or spirit as you are comfortable as we sing together.
For the first reading, this is the first of 3 readings today from Emergent Strategies by New York Times best-selling author and activist Adrienne Marie Brown, who grows healing ideas and practices for transformation through her multi-genre writing, music, and restorative practices. Brown asks us, do you already know that your existence, who and how you are, is in and of itself a contribution to the people and places around you? Not after or because you do some particular thing, but simply the miracle of your life, and that the people around you and the places have contributions as well? Do you understand that your quality of life and your survival are tied to how authentic and generous the connections are between you and the people and places you live with and in? Are you actively practicing generosity and vulnerability in order to make the connections between you and others clear? Open, available, durable? Generosity here means giving of what you have without strings or expectations attached. Vulnerability means showing your needs.
We'll now share the joys and sorrows within our community as written at the book at the back of the meeting house. And we recognize our partner church in Transylvania for their gift of the beautiful carved candlestick and pedestal from which we all light our individual candles. After sharing joys and sorrows, we will take a moment of silence, and during that time, if you've lost someone close to you in the past year, we invite you to stand or raise your hand to bear witness to that loss. Now, traditionally, in our services, we hold space for those lost during our time of meditation, but Rev J will be leading us through a special meditation today. So again, if you have lost someone in the past year and would like to bear witness to that loss, we invite you to stand or raise your hand during a moment of silence immediately following our joys and sorrows. From Roxanne Stern, remembering my sister Dale Smith in the month of her birth. She lived from 1956 to 1966. Dale was a brave child who somehow managed to find joy and laugh. A candle lit from a community member who says, I pray for neighbors who lost a beloved family member as he is now in heaven. From Caitlin, a candle today for Shirley, a friend my mother has taken care of and nursed for the last 12 years. She lived a long life, and may she now rest in peace. And a candle lit with the note, blessings on Dr. Anthony Fauci. Let us rest in the gift of having one another. We share our joys, we share our sorrows, and together we make our way.
Spirit of life, known by so many names, move through us, between us, be with us. Help us to honor and be gentle with our joys, with our sorrows, with our losses. We are thankful for this very moment together, for this opportunity to come present to ourselves exactly as we are right now. As we're all sitting here, all coming from our different experiences and journeys, let's notice that we are actually being held snugly in our seats by the pull of gravity. Let's imagine that the solid earth is rising up to meet us in our strong sitting. And if you'd like, you can let your gaze soften or let your eyes gently close. Maybe feel with your feet that solidity underneath you. And as you're sitting here being held, notice that your body is actually being breathed effortlessly as the air expands your lungs. I invite you to let it draw in with it a sense of peace. As the air leaves your lungs, see if you can let it flow out any tensions or distractions, holdings, or worries. Breathing in, calm. Breathing out, anything that you don't need in this moment. Imagine that our collective breathing together is a breeze of freshness, blowing gently through the garden of all of our lives. And as we breathe together in the warm air, let's take just a few moments in silence, maybe with a soft focus around our heart center. Not needing to change anything, but just bathing that area with our attention. Let's let the quiet nurture us for a few moments. staying in this soft place, remaining seated, I'll invite us to move into hymn 1009 in the teal hymnal. And especially if you know it, you may not even need the hymnal. It's meditation on breathing. And there are 3 different parts to be sung. So we'll have several rounds of this song, and just join in any part or many parts as you feel moved. And let's feel the energy of our collective connections in song. Here we are in this 250th anniversary of the United States, and we need to be breathing in and breathing out. I think a deep message is to keep breathing right now. I read a recent Gallup poll reporting that collectively we are at record highs in our divisiveness, with 80% of US adults believing Americans are greatly divided on the most important values. A new PBS News NPR Marist poll reports that 82% of adults polled believe that the issues dividing the nation right now pose a serious threat to the future of our country, with 37% feeling that fellow citizens may need to use violence to get back on track. This is a sobering statistic. In many ways right now, we're experiencing a collective failure of connection. Connection is the quality of all life that lies at the very heart of our Unitarian Universalist faith. With our faithful intent to increase connection to ourselves, to one another, to the more than human world, how can we as individuals and congregations right now respond to this unique challenge of our time? I believe we're being called to respond to this unique challenge of our time. Wouldn't it be great if there was some pat, concrete answer, I could just pop it out and we could just do it and get on with things? But no. and bless you. I'm grateful to this congregation for the opportunity to have spent some time pondering your vital summer theme of bridging. In my meditation and prayer, kind of considering this topic in recent weeks, what arose was this question about where our attempts to bridge these gaps might be weak or weakened. Because I don't believe that most people want to be so divided. I just don't believe that. I think our hearts still yearn for one another. But our minds, our ideas, our thoughts, even our words, I think they're not always able to build strong enough bridges, the kind that we need, the kind that we are actually longing for. So with this open question of how we might build better bridges across our chasm-like divides, this morning I thought to share 3 short stories. Just small, real-life examples of attempts to make connections in difficult circumstances. I think they're examples of what can happen when we lead with our hearts, with love at the center and intellect in the back seat for a change, as Unitarians, rather than the other way around. So I hope that they will inspire you to think of times in your own life when love built a seemingly impossible bridge. So to begin, I'm going to take us back to that very challenging time when many of us had the most extreme experiences of being separated in our lives. The first story unfolds at the end of January 2020, when the COVID pandemic was emerging in our national awareness. So for my part, I had just begun treatment for breast cancer following surgery. And I'm well now, I'm fine, it was successful. But at the time, I was pretty scared, as you might imagine. So I had 30 sessions of radiation scheduled, which means that I had to go to the hospital 5 times a week for 6 weeks in a row, and I couldn't miss a session, and I had to do it consecutively. Right from the start, my partner was not allowed to accompany me in the hospital. So I was looking at challenging cancer treatment for the first time with no one I loved by my side. In the very early weeks, there was a team at the door checking folks in. They were untrained. They were trying to tell everyone to put masks on and use this antibacterial gel, and people didn't understand, and they were afraid. I don't know if you even remember what it was like when this was first being introduced, and there was a lot of chaos in the doorways. They were trying to separate patients in the waiting rooms, keep us apart, and so after a couple of weeks, when I got there were no more door teams and way fewer patients. And when I asked them about it, the person at the check-in desk told me that the hospital had sent home big chunks of the staff, and they'd canceled all the non-emergency medical procedures. And by then, I was only seeing maybe 1 or 2 other patients in treatment. In the 4th week, I saw a small group of doctors huddled together. They were talking in soft voices, like literally in the corner. I could hear what they were saying. They were talking about the tents, and they were talking about not enough PPE, which we now know is personal protective equipment, but I had no idea what that was at the time. They were talking about who had bailed and asking each other if they were going to stay. This scared me. This really scared me, more than anything else, because it seemed like they didn't care if I could hear them or not. So again, I asked the front desk person about this, and they told me that there were too many patients and just not enough safety equipment, that they were, in fact, critically understaffed at the hospital, and they were setting up patients in tents outside in the parking lot. By the end of that week, there was no more front desk person. In fact, I saw no doctors anywhere and no other patients. A single technician took me to the back, and there were 2 that were needed for my service, and I asked, am I going to be able to finish my treatments? And she said, I don't know. By week 5, my last week, I was completely alone, walking through the hospital. I knew my way by this point, and there was one tech for a 2-person job, and she stayed so that I could finish my treatments. And I will be forever grateful to her and everyone who did things like this during that time. So later on, I heard from my colleagues, hospital chaplains in really big urban areas, exactly how challenging this was. And many of us have heard about this since then. Doctors staying at the hospital for weeks at a time so they wouldn't infect their families at home, because at that point we didn't know how infectious it actually was. Nurses were desperately trying to be chaplains. They didn't have the training. They were at people's beds, dying people's beds, trying to give them comfort. And angry, desperate families were kept away and were often at the doorways and outside the tents. No one knew what was going to happen. The tents outside, full of terrified patients, angry, desperate family at the door, exhausted, desperate medical staff trying to help, not get sick themselves. No one had any answers. We all felt so alone. There were no bridges anywhere. And then, one day, someone, just a regular person, no connection to medicine or the hospital, he did something simple yet extraordinary. I didn't actually see it, but I was told about it with wonder later on by my oncologist. This person just drove into the parking lot one afternoon and set up an electric keyboard and these huge speakers right on the back of their pickup truck. And they just began to play music. Right into that division and chaos. Just play music. Soothing songs that went straight into the hearts of everyone who could hear. I was told that this changed the atmosphere, that it was like something kinetic, that people softened a little bit toward one another, that it was easier to breathe, my doctor said. And as sometimes happens with extraordinary things like this, other versions started popping up all over. So by early spring, Mass General was offering full virtual bedside concerts via Zoom to COVID patients, trucking in the little speakers and smart pads. And in Rhode Island, I don't know if you heard about this, I think it's amazing, the Lifespan hospitals all started playing the Rocky theme when any COVID patient walked out their doors. Isn't that cool? And they offered them the possibility of, passing or having like a little private playing of this, but every single patient said, no, play it for me while I'm walking out the doors. And that was to encourage everyone else who was still there trying to recover. Small bridges of love across vulnerability, fear, desperation, direct to hurting hearts.
An authentic saying of the Prophet Muhammad is called a hadith. In this lesson, the Prophet asks his companions to name a tree that does not drop its leaves and resembles a Muslim. While others thought of desert trees, a young listener guessed correctly that it was the date palm. Muhammad responded, "A Muslim is like a date palm tree whose leaves do not fall, always beneficial, never harmful." In this next excerpt from Emergent Strategy, Aisha Shillingford, an anti-disciplinary artist and world builder from Trinidad and Tobago, shares this commentary on the Hadith. This influences me by reminding me that my core responsibility is to be a benefit to whatever I'm engaged in. I may not always know how that will happen, but it has to be my aim. I want people's lives to have been better, even in tiny ways, from having participated with me in the work. This means to me that I bring beautiful words, actions, ideas, and behaviors into spaces. At the end of it all, even if we don't see the fruits of our labor, shouldn't we be able to say we loved and enjoyed each other? That's why I want to act and be like a palm tree, providing shade, covering my comrades instead of throwing shade, LOL. I want to provide food, dates. I want to be what they can lean on. I want to be a resource, sustaining our work.
My second story is an unforgettable one from a spiritual direction client about a relative of theirs. This was a smart, self-sufficient older woman who had moved to a rural area when she retired from a big city where she had been a professor for decades. She was educated, she was progressive, and openly so. Huge pride flag hanging on the porch. Next door, however, was a man whose politics and values were really different from hers. Right around 2016, he put up a flag of his own in support of a president that she was actively afraid of. So she responded in kind. Over time, adding more signage of her own about believing in science, about the value of Black lives. His side grew too. Got to the point where she would literally feel sick every time she saw her own neighbor's yard. So eventually, she built an 8-foot fence between them. She called it privacy, and it was. But it was also a way not to look every day at the huge divide between their two worlds. They stopped talking at all, even to say hi. Then one day, a couple of years ago, it's pretty recently, her beloved cat did not come home. Now, this was a farm cat. This was an outdoor cat. He knew how to get away from the coyotes. He knew how to avoid the snakes. He came home every night and slept in her bed every night. And at dinner time, he wasn't there. So she went out with her little treats and shaking and calling and trying to find him. And she couldn't. So eventually she went back inside, she got in bed, she laid there for a while, and she just got more and more upset. And finally she's like, I can't sleep, I'm going back out. So she grabbed her flashlight, it was about midnight. She goes outside, she starts hollering his name, and she's calling, and she's walking, and she's getting colder and colder. And eventually, around 1 o'clock in the morning, she saw her neighbor coming up the road with a bundle in his arms, and her heart stopped. He said, quickly, coming closer, he said, "He's alive, but he's hurt. I found him in a culvert." And he handed her the cat, wrapped in a Trump flag. Her neighbor was embarrassed. He said he'd seen him, he needed to wrap him up quick, he was cold, and he grabbed the first thing, and he had a new flag on his porch. So that's what he grabbed. So their eyes met, and he said, "I couldn't stand hearing you call. I just couldn't do nothing. I really hope he's okay." Well, the cat made it. He was actually hit by a car, but survived. And this encounter changed nothing about either of their beliefs. They did not end up becoming close friends, but they found their way back to each other as people. He checked in on her during big storms, and she texted him when she saw that plow coming through. They were neighbors again.
Our final reading from Emergent Strategy. Everything we attempt, everything we do, is either growing up as its roots go deeper, or it's decomposing, leaving its lessons in the soil for the next attempt.
The last story I'll share this morning, I was invited to work with a patient who was on the cusp of losing language because of his Alzheimer's, and I'll call him Mr. Jones. He actually had a lot of means. He was lucky. He was able to stay at home with caregivers. He had a daughter who lived far away but kind of coordinated all this care and made sure that he had what he needed. It was actually her that reached out to find me. Years ago, he was actually a pretty famous jazz musician. So there was always jazz playing out of the speakers or on TV. It was just a constant background in this beautiful, beautiful house. And when we first started meeting, he could still speak on his good days. I got to know him a little bit, and I was so charmed by his optimistic nature. He was always smiling. He didn't want to talk much about his disease or dying, even though his daughter was desperate for us to do that. He just wasn't that interested. Over time, he did tell me a little bit about his spiritual history, and he shared a few important kind of turnkey stories from his life. I learned the prayers that had meaning for him, so I could comfort him in that way on his bad days. Eventually, as expected, he lost most of his ability to communicate with words. And by that time, he was bedridden. He had a physical therapist who came daily. Super, super nice person. He was great with Mr. Jones. But one day I got there, and they were struggling. I walked in the door, and the therapist was controlling him, kind of standing at the bed, and Mr. Jones was going, "No, no, no." And I tried checking in, and he just turned his head away from me. And we both kept asking, what was the matter? What do you need? He just got more and more distraught. And he started shouting, "Bad, bad, bad." I started to actually get worried that he was going to hurt himself. And the PT felt the same way. And so he began to actually safely restrain his thrashing. He would not meet either of our eyes, Mr. Jones. None of our strategies was working. We couldn't reach him, and he was clearly working himself into a kind of a panic. So finally, pretty much in desperation, and thinking of that piano player in the parking lot, I started to sing. I was not a singer. At the time, I was afraid to sing if anyone else could hear me. But there was a song right there on my heart, right there on my tongue. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. His thrashing, it slowed a little bit. So I sang the second verse. There were only two Simple song. Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? He was starting to listen, so I sang it again, and I sang it again, and then that amazing PT started singing it with me. And then Mr. Jones started to sing with us. He couldn't manage the lyrics, but he was sounding with us. He was breathing with us, and he settled. And we stayed that way, singing together for a long time until his eyes eventually started to close. When I thought he was asleep, I slowed and we stopped singing. And then suddenly Mr. Jones' eyes popped open. He looked at me and he said, clear as a bell, I never told her I was sorry. I just whispered, you were so very sorry. And we sang a little more, and his eyes closed. Sometimes we feel like we cannot forgive the unforgivable, especially if it's something that we've done ourselves, right? But we can bridge back to our hearts with grace, sometimes found in a simple verse. And so now, with the help of Claire and Allison, I'll invite us to sing this song in a round together, this song that I am so, so very grateful for, Loosen by Allie Halpert.
You've heard the song once. Let's sing it the whole thing through a couple of times, and then we'll do it in a round. We'll have this half start, and then that half, oops, sorry about that, join, and we'll see how it goes. And I'll go over there and leave this half there, we'll leave that stuff. It'll work out great. All right, here we go. Oh, yes. The words are there. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Once more all together. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, and hold to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. And hold to carry the
together. Loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease this pain?
As we approach the time for our offering, we ask that you give for the church that has meant so much to you, for the church that meant so much to those who came before you, and for the church that will mean so much to people you will never know. Give what you will, for you are a generous people, and your gifts will gratefully be received.
Of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, the clouds got in my way. Now from up and down, and still somehow it's clouds, illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel when every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave them laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds, I've looked at life that way, but now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed. Well, something's lost, but something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all. I've looked at life from both
are some upcoming opportunities to deepen our connections to one another and our larger community. Our community food share distribution is coming up on Monday, August 17th in our parking lot. Distribution happens between 1 and 4 p.m., so please share that news with friends and neighbors who may be in need. And if you'd like to volunteer, you're welcome to join the group in the parish house that morning from 9 o'clock onward. It's Bomba's Sorting Day, y'all. Bomba's Sorting Day is Sunday, August 30th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Bomba's t-shirts and underwear have arrived, and a sorting event is planned for Sunday, August 30th. We need volunteers. Mark your calendars to join us, and thank you so much from the NSJC LFM committee. Help us help others. The Women's Alliance yard sale is fast approaching, so start looking through your homes for things you'd like to donate. Donation drop-off days are planned for Tuesday to Friday, August 18th to the 21st. If you have questions, please contact Nori Duncan. And the yard sale itself will be held August 22nd and 23rd. And please join us next Sunday at 10 a.m. when we welcome guest John Green. The theme of that service is holding on, letting go, becoming. We hope to see you there. And don't forget to read your First Few Times every Friday so you don't miss any important information. The First Few Times is sent by email to all members and friends and others who sign up to receive it. You can access it and sign up through our church website or fill out a guest registry at the welcome table at the back of the meeting house.
In the immortal words of Octavia Butler from Parable of the Sower, all that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. As we come to a close of our service this morning, I'll invite you to read with me the words of extinguishing our chalice, which can be found in your order of service. We carry the flame of peace, love, and hope until we meet again. So may it ever be. Amen. Shanti. Ashe.
Thanks, everyone. Go get cool, hydrate, find shade, enjoy the day.